Good afternoon, boys and girls. There's a story going around, isn't there? That's kind of these stories go around. They almost turn into urban myths, don't they? And the story is that Jai Opetaia floored Tyson Fury in sparring and was sent home because of that. Now, I watched the video Joe Stunner done on this. Shout out to Joe Stunner, as always, my man. Joe Stunner said, regardless whether it happened or not, you don't read too much into that. And Joe's 100% correct. Now, the thing, if we let's take this and pick out what we can pick out of this, what we know are facts. We don't know Fury got dropped. We do know Opetaia has left that training camp. To me, the logical reason for that is to do with the fact that he's now going to be fighting Bradus and sparring Tyson Fury is not really going to aid him in fighting Bradus. It's completely not what he needs. The thing with sparring is, and when people say sparring, it's a very broad term, isn't it? But the thing with sparring is, now, it comes in many different forms, and depending on where you are in the camp, in your camp in the build up to your fight, from condition sparring to body only sparring to technical sparring, there are many different forms to full on gym fights. I've had some and been present at some gym fights that go to a level of there's some. I've seen gym fights which are more hardly fought and harder and more damaging than actual competitive fights. A lot of the theory, a lot of trainers don't like that. A lot of trainers don't agree with it. Some agree with it, but I've been party to some absolutely brutal full-on gym fights. But what you got to remember is when you start sparring for a fight, rather than just condition sparring and moving around sparring that you do on a weekly basis sort of thing. When you go in, when you start sparring for a fight, you're not as sharp when you go in early camp and you start your spars. You start off with less rounds, less intensity, and it builds to the point of almost crescendo a week or two before the fight. And then you might tail off, and the last week you probably won't spar at all, and you shouldn't do really. But so, as Joe said, if someone gets dropped in sparring, it means absolutely nothing. Flash knockdowns happen all the time in sparring, just because of the nature of spars. And for the large part of the camp where you're not at your best and not at your sharpest, and you do have guys in there when you're getting a guy in for 2 rounds, he jumps out, another guy steps in for 2 rounds, and people in sparring partners. There are sparring partners who will try and make a name for themselves, but if Jai Opetaia had been sent home because of this, he dropped Fury and a sort of punishment they've sent him home, I would certainly expect someone from Opetaia's camp or Opetaia himself to come out and say, because it's almost demeaning, isn't it, to have a story going around saying you've been sent home. What are you, a schoolboy? So I would have expected something from Camp Opetaia saying that wasn't the case. Yes, we did drop him. Or there's also the fact that you've got to remember, in a lot of sparring sessions, you have a sort of a non-disclosure agreement. What stays in sparring goes there, and you are contracted to not talk about what happens, unless that's the case. And there's also the case that and this is one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of Tyson Fury, the man, as with the True Geordie interview, and there's been a few interviews sort of in the same manner where True Geordie was completely respectful, but asked him the questions that a lot of boxing journalists won't ask, because Tyson Fury is not True Geordie's bread and butter, so he can ask them. And as John Fury says, Tyson Fury likes yes men. He doesn't like people asking him genuine questions. He doesn't like people going against him. And as he lost it against True Geordie, would I be surprised if Tyson Fury got dropped and Tyson Fury's attitude was to, for want of a better word, fuck him off? Probably not. Just going on the mentality of the man, what we see. But I find it highly unlikely. Sparring is a completely different world, isn't it? And I think people who haven't boxed or armchair spectators may read into a story like that Fury's been dropped by an Opetaia. But I can guarantee you this. When they bring these stories out, it's like watershed news. It's like a thing that doesn't happen. I guarantee you, Tyson Fury's been dropped more than once in sparring in his career. Guarantee you that. And it's a different environment. You can't explain the difference between an elite level fighter on fight night and that elite level fighter in the gym in preparation. Some guys are the same. Some guys go into sparring on their first week back and look as good as they ever do. The sort of rust and the sharpness doesn't leave sometimes, but the majority it does. I've got a mate of mine and another friend I know from the town where I live. One retired on I think about 14 pro fights. The other one was a two-time ABA champion. They went to spar Carl Froch a number of years ago, quite a few years ago now. But one of those guys, I won't give names out because I haven't spoken about this, but one of those guys gave Carl Froch absolute hell and had an absolute legit gym fight and gym war with Carl Froch. And Carl Froch, being Carl Froch, was probably obliging because he's a true fighting man, a real tough man. But yeah, when you get these stories that creep out of gyms about sparring, people being dropped the sparring, there isn't nothing to read in that. I think Joe went on to talk about a few other camps he'd watched. I don't know if any of you have seen, there's a fantastic documentary on Sky Documentaries, I believe, and it's a Hatton documentary, and I've seen it twice. If you're a fight fan or a Hatton fan, it's an absolute must-watch. It's a very, it doesn't leave nothing to the imagination, and there's parts in that about the camp that Hatton had for the Manny Pacquiao fight, in which he had Mayweather Sr. Training him. Now, if you've seen that, you'll know what I'm talking about. What Mayweather Sr. was doing to Hatton in that camp, Hatton was almost mentally broken at the time anyway, but from a physical point of view, Mayweather Sr. destroyed Ricky Hatton. He had no chance of winning that fight with the mental issues he was going through at the time. Go and watch it, and you'll see what I mean, because Mayweather Sr. absolutely brutalises Ricky Hatton in an unjustifiable manner to me. But yeah, that's a great documentary. You must go and watch it. There's some fabulous moments in it. Ray Hatton doesn't come out of that one at all, does he? And you feel really sorry for Billy Graham. Billy Graham comes out of that and is treated in a way. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to give too much away for you. But if you haven't seen it, go and watch it because you will not be disappointed. It's one of the better sports and boxing documentaries out there for sure. There's some great moments. There's a great moment where when Hatton beat Tszyu, and at the point the fight gets stopped, at the end of the 11th, I believe, Tszyu's corner retiring, and there's a superbly composed shot of Danny Williams. Remember Danny Williams, the old British heavyweight, fought Mike Tyson, very much favoured Mike Tyson. But there's an absolutely superb shot that'd make a wonderful still or a canvas where the crowd are all around and Danny Williams is in the first few rows and he stood up when a lot sitting down. And he's just got a complete open-mouthed gasp on his face in disbelief. It's an absolute picture. But yeah, I digress anyway. But if you haven't seen that, go watch it. But yeah, great video by Joe. But yeah, sparring, dropped in sparring, who knows? Yeah, sent home for it. Do we believe that? I don't think I believe that. Dropped, yeah, possibly. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Anyway, I'll see you all soon. I'm out.